Hello, my fitness kooks. Welcome to your week 5 educational video. This week we're going to be talking about two topics. So the first one is going to be triggers in your environment, and then the second one is going to be sleep and recovery. Okay, so number one, we're going to talk about triggers in your environment. So triggers are anything that kind of set you off, whether that be food, people you're around, your environment, what you're doing, how you're feeling. So for instance, for me, it was when I was tired, and whenever I was around like a bunch of people, and then ice cream was always my trigger as well. So those were my triggers. So this week I want you guys to kind of figure out what your triggers are, and see if you can kind of take yourself out of that situation. So for instance, if it's a trigger of a certain food, see if you can take yourself out of that, environment, so that you're setting yourself up for success. So for instance, if you have always chips at home, maybe this week you don't buy chips at the grocery store, or maybe you talk to your husband or your spouse or boyfriend or whoever it is, and you guys make like a fun little challenge of, okay, this week we're not going to have chips or whatever trigger food it was, and just be honest with them, you guys. Let them know what's going on. Let them know that you're trying to become healthier for yourself, for them, for everyone around you, and this is something that is kind of holding you back. I guarantee you, if you sit down and talk to them, they will listen, and you just kind of tell them what it would mean to you to have them kind of support you and on this journey as well. They will definitely be there right by your side, and if not, I'm always here right by your side, you guys. So that's our first one, environment and trigger foods. So if you have it in your house, you guys, more or less whoever you're living with, either it's you or someone else, is going to eat that food, and usually that trigger food is not celery and broccoli. It's usually ice cream or chips and stuff, so that is not very beneficial for our bodies or anybody's bodies anyways. So that's the first topic that I want you guys to kind of look at this week and focus on. And then our second one is sleep and recovery. So recovery and sleeping, you guys, is so important. It's something that everyone, I feel, this day lacks. We are so get up and go, caffeine, coffee, all this stuff. Hence we took out coffee, but fizzies maybe. And so but we kind of lack the nighttime. The nighttime part is just as important as what we're doing for the daytime, going to the gym, working out, feeding our brain, our bodies, all that stuff. So at night, it's your only time for your body to be able to recharge, kind of set everything, and it allows you to just kind of zone. So number one, there's a few different things. So number one, if you've ever experienced like at night you don't get a good night's sleep, you're super restless, you wake up sweaty or anything like this, there's a few different things I want you guys to try this week. So first one, I want you guys to not eat 2 hours before you go to bed. So sometimes when you feel like you're super hot and sweaty when you go to bed, or if you're restless, it's because your body is still trying to break down all that food that you just ate. And so it can't focus on sleeping and kind of recovering because it has all this like stuff that it needs to break down and utilize before the next day. So that's number one. Number two, I want you guys to turn off your screen, not watch TV. Anything with like a screen, I want you to kind of cut that off an hour before bed. So what happens with the screen and the lights from our phone and the TV, it stimulates our brain to keep going. So if you're in bed on the Facebook, on the book of the face or whatever, kind of scrolling right before you go to bed, and then you put it down and you're just like, you cannot find that like calmness, it's because you're telling your brain that it needs to work through those screens. So that's number two. And then number three, I want you guys to get a set sleep ritual. So for instance, my set sleep ritual is I will go home, I will unwind, put on my PJs. Usually I'll pack everything for the next day, and then I will read. I'll read for a little bit, and then I also do my like gratitude. And then when I go to bed, again, you look at my phone an hour before I go to bed. That way I can kind of calm down, calm my mind, and that way when I go to bed, I'm actually getting a full night's sleep, and I can allow my body to go into that REM. So that's kind of a sleep ritual, for instance, but yours doesn't have to look like that. Yours can literally be, maybe you go home and you read books to your kids or whatever it is. That's going to be kind of something up for you to learn about what you do like, what doesn't work for your sleep ritual, okay? And then another important aspect of how or the quality of your sleep at night is going to be your nutrition. So if you're feeding your body that processed stuff, hence why we kind of take out everything that's like processed or highly packaged or anything like super sugary, anything like that, is because those foods, you guys, take your body an extra energy to be able to break those down because they're not natural. It's something that we chemically process. So if you are feeding yourself a bunch of overly highly processed sugary foods and stuff right before bed, again, not only is your body trying to break down the foods in general, but now you're putting on an extra like task to your body because it's not it's processed food. Okay, so sleep and recovery has a lot to do with what you're intaking during the day as well. So whole foods, minimally processed, everything that kind of gives us energy and is rich in micronutrients and vitamins and minerals and all that stuff. Okay, all right guys, so this week, remember, we are focusing on two things. Number one, your triggers in your environment, and then number two, your sleep ritual. Next week I want you guys to kind of give me a rundown in your weekly check-ins on what that looked like, and if you were either successful, maybe not so successful at finding it out, but as long as you guys are trying. Okay, remember, progress, not perfection. All right, bye Kooks.